supposed to be How's It Hanging? How's It Happen? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists. Line fans cover their creative workflow, other favorite musicians, and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. So get $100 off your entire build using the code CPPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Links for the podcast below. We saw the updated list of podcasts, top metal podcasts on millionpodcast.com. And metal music, we're back down to 21. Not too happy about that. We were at 14, now we're back down to 21. But they posted the top 50 metalcore podcasts out there. We're at number 3. We got bronze, but I want gold. So we're going to keep going until we get that number 1 spot. So keep supporting us, keep watching, keep listening, keep streaming, all that fun stuff. Let's go to feature presentation, though. I'm not going to mess up the name now like I do during the episode, but we have Derrick from Minute After Midnight on the podcast. You're just bringing pop punk and emo infusion into a whole bunch of eclectic different sounds. Is on the podcast with us today with the brand new song Masochist that came out back on Halloween. Not only do we talk about how he ends up writing with, being channeled by the Beam. We also talk about signing with Fearless Records, what his 15-year-old self would say, and reflecting on just how damn catchy this song is in the best way possible. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. Thanks to the one and only Miss Tori Kravitz from She's With the Band, ended up saying, hey, Kevin, go check out this artist. I got someone for you. They just signed with Fearless Records to get a brand new single out called Masochist, and you probably heard of them because back in 2023, they released a song called Ghost. It was Oliver Octane. It's gotten close to 10 million streams already on Spotify, so you're like, okay, let's go check it out. Yeah, after checking out that new song, it was pretty quick that we got this one set up because you guys, if you haven't heard this artist yet, you have to. If you remember Ghost from 2023, Oliver Octane, and you haven't listened to this artist since, you're missing out, but I'm not going to let you miss out any further. So please welcome Derrick from the band Minutes After Midnight to the podcast. So Derrick, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. Stoked to be here.
Dude, thanks for being on. How has everything been going in life recently? I mean, brand new single, signing with Fearless Records. There's a lot of positivity going around you right now.
Yeah, man. It's like all of a sudden I woke up and, my childhood dreams. So it's been unbelievable. The Fearless team has been so good to me so far, and the recording process has been fun as well. So I'm just stoked to be here, man.
We're stoked to have you here too, but it's like you said, childhood dream come true. So naturally, like many artists, I assume this is something you've wanted to do ever since you were like a little kid, maybe a teenager, wishing that you could just get out of and not have to deal with like the rat race of life and not have to deal with, a standard 9-to-5 job. But kind of thinking about it right now, if it's a childhood dream come true, what do you think that if you could go back in time and your 15-year-old self, what would that person say to you right now if they could see exactly what you're doing?
He just couldn't handle it. I believe, if he listened to some of the music that we ended up creating in the future, he would just be dumbfounded. I've been recording music for around 16 years now, and I've been in and out of many different bands. So I just don't even think that he could fathom it, but I know that he would be so proud, dude.
It's like someone that could believe that it's happening, but has no comprehension of that actually happened. Because when you think about going back to like when you're 15, you had dreams, aspirations, but you had no idea how much work it was going to put in, the trials, the tribulations you'd have to go through, the peaks, the valleys, specifically the valleys, because we always think about how good everything can be. We always think about how great this is going to be. But then those valleys you never think about.
Bro. That's what I like to call it. We just failed forward, man. And yeah, it's wild, bro.
It's nuts. But hey, look at where you are right now. You can have that time to be able to reflect back on that and see not only how far you've come since then, but like you said, recording music with a bunch of other bands as well, trying to get your footing through this. And now all of a sudden you've got something of your own. You're really starting to get that traction. You got it in 2023, and now you're picking back up easily once again, signing with Fearless, and of course releasing Masochist, which, god damn, dude, was not expecting that out of you.
Yeah, man. So Masochist just was one of those songs that kind of spawned, I really feel like in my writing process, I'm kind of just like an antenna for the music coming in, and it's kind of like a channel. So me and my buddy Matt Good, it's who I recorded the song with, and we call it channeling the beam. So
channeling the beam. All right, talk us through that a little bit more, because I always like to hear, especially from people when it comes to their own style of songwriting, what that process is. I've heard so many unique takes on it, but it's all dependent upon the person. So channeling the beam, kind of walk us through that, man.
okay, well, it's not as easy as said as done, but basically, like, I will hear a melody kind of come to me, and it's like there's sometimes that the melody will come and it'll instantly just like come with lyrics as well. But then it seems like if I hear it and then like I kind of forget and then I come back to it, it's like this is something that resonated with me and is naturally catchy. I always say too, like a good melody, like if it's good enough, you won't forget it. So channeling the beam is, quite quite metaphysical in a sense, if you if you want to put it. But man, it's just being open and receptive to like what the universe has for you, and not getting in your own way, being like, oh, does this sound bad or good? And just allowing it to flow through and just naturally come out, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
I mean, for someone like myself who's been interviewing artists for close to 7 years at this point, I do have an understanding of that. I've never really written music myself. I've just been the crazy music fan that I am. But just hearing that, taking in what the universe is bringing you and just being open to that. What you're doing is what a lot of artists I've seen now really take to, and why you're seeing that explosion of heavy music, because you're not being limited to these specific restrictions of this. If you're going to play in this style, you have to have this. You have to have this type of guitar tone. You have to have this type of pattern. You have to be playing these specific chords, and that's it. You're not seeing that anymore. You're seeing a lot more variety, and being able to just have that feeling of letting the universe kind of speak to you and just be open to whatever's going to influence you at that moment. It's going to create more of that eclectic sound that is going to be more personal to you, because again, it's coming from no restrictions. It's not easy to channel the beam, because trying to remember something like that and trying to remember those feelings as you're writing can take a long time, or just maybe not work right away unless you hit that right away. Like, okay, I thought of this idea, I thought of this riff, thought of this melody. If I don't focus on this right now, it's going to be lost forever. But by you saying no, if it's a catchy melody, it's going to be something you're going to remember. Now it makes sense to see how these songs start to form, and why when you listen to them, especially from Minutes After Midnight, you want to go back again and again and again, because initially, even if you lost that melody, it came back. It wasn't going to get lost forever.
Absolutely. There's this story of Michael Jackson and his manager he's calling his manager at like 3 a.m. and he's like telling his manager, he's like, butterflies, butterflies. I got to write this song about butterflies. And his manager's like, Michael, dude, it's 3 a.m., like, can we not wait till tomorrow? And he's like, no, if I don't write it now, Prince is going to write it. So it's kind of like equivalent to like the flow state. And just to correct, it's a minute after midnight. Not
minutes. Oh my God. Okay. If you want to make fun of me,
everybody does this. It's okay. It's literally 9 out of 10 shows. That's kind of just the way that it goes, but it's okay. I just want to clarify to everybody.
Well, feel free to roast the ever-loving hell out of me for getting that wrong.
Good, because you're not the first, and you will not be the last. It is totally fine. I promise you, it happens all the time.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the first, but I am hoping that I am the last, because, well, that should not happen. And yeah, that's on me. Shit.
It's all good, bro.
Oh,
yeah, it's 12:01. It's yeah. So it's, if that makes it any easier for listeners, just
I'm never forgetting that now from now on. I'm like even going on my little like note sheet here. I'm like quickly, okay, change that to make sure I don't mess that up in the future, because I probably would.
Yeah, no worries at all, bro.
Totally understandable. But again, when you're coming through these songs and you're working through these ideas and you're just letting it be in that flow state and just seeing what's going to happen. I remember this was back like 3 years ago at the job I was working at. They had some presentation presenter guy come in as like a keynote speaker. And that's literally what he was talking about, was flow state. And I'm like, I get it, but I don't get it when I'm working my full-time job. I get it when I'm doing all the podcast stuff, because you can just get so entrenched in it, but also you're just working at a pace and your mind is working in a way that you are just currently, I'm not going to say hyper focused, but just totally active and totally aware of everything that's around you and what you need to do to get this done. So when it comes to writing music, you're open to the experience. and you're open to what's going to come to you. And when that idea comes to you, you're open and focused to be able to go down that path to see where it leads you and not get sidetracked by, ooh, my phone went buzz.
Absolutely, man. And you're probably like in the flow state like right now, you're just so I'm here for it, man.
Probably, except for, messing up the band name.
Bro,
That
I'm
kind of
telling you, if you only knew, I think most shows that we have played, it's like give it up for minutes till midnight or give it up for minutes after midnight. I'm just like, they will learn eventually. It'll all come to fruition eventually.
I think that's the right attitude to have. It's like they will learn eventually, because there's probably a number of artists that have had names and they've been constantly like said wrong or misspelt, or hell, I've had artists on the podcast that have had to change names, and it's like, well, how do you get past that? Because everyone knew you as one thing, but now you can go to the other thing. And success happens all the time through that. I've seen it happen before. So yeah, it's gonna happen here.
Very much so, man. No worries.
No worries. But jumping a little bit further into Masochist, though, when it came to this song specifically and getting into that mindset and how it was written, walk us through that, because this was a song that I've listened to it way too many times to not, dive deeper into it.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, a masochist is someone that, hurts themselves for their own pleasure. I don't believe in like self-harm or anything like that, but I know, the emo culture, it is a prevalent thing that happens. So I wanted to write a song that expressed that, but also had kind of like a happy undertone with it to really just like touch listeners and like let them know like they're not alone. Like I feel these same feelings too. I don't ever want anyone to harm themselves or, like I think the verse is like gonna set fire to myself. So please don't set yourself on fire or do anything like that. But find a way to express that outwardly, through poetry, art, anything like that. And it's just really to let people know, hey, even, in the position that I'm in, I still feel these dark thoughts and feelings and stuff. So,
but it gives people a look at, when you have those dark thoughts and feelings, a creative outlet that's going to prevent any sort of harm or prevent any sort of ill happenings to you, and maybe even take some of those, maybe I would say distraught thoughts or negative thoughts and end up turning them to something positive. We've seen so many artists take their thoughts, take their experiences from the negatives, write them in songs, put them on paper, put them on a painting, put them in, visual media, and turn them into something that not only becomes inspirational, but something that they use to have literal power over what they went through. It's no longer a burden to them when they do that. It's more of a look at where I came from, look at how far I've come, and it becomes something that doesn't hurt you but inspires you to continue on with what you're doing in terms of the positive.
yeah, very much so. Like getting these songs out of me is very healing. And I think, with the state of the world, we all have things that are going on. So finding a safe and creative way to express yourself is definitely going to be a positive for the world.
Oh, it absolutely is, especially when it's something that has more of an artistic value to it, because now you're creating something, whether it's music, whether it's, physical art, whether it's visual, any movie, TV, YouTube, whatever it might be. When you're creating something like that, not only are you creating something for yourself and positively working through those emotions, but you're giving something to the world that other people are gonna be able to connect with on a deeper emotional level, and sometimes just need to know that they're not the only ones that have gone through this or had to deal with this.
Absolutely, bro.
That's honestly the biggest thing. When it came to specifically like the idea that you had for the melody on this song, for the overall guitar tones, the vocal patterns, were you having any trouble with that, or where did the inspiration come from that? Because I was listening to this and I'm like, I can pick up inspirations left and right from bands. I'm like, I'm not even sure if you listen to them, but my God, does it work?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I have, listened to metalcore, pop punk, basically any band that was on Warped Tour, I was pretty much listening to. So I've always tried to like have like inspiration in the music, but it's still come out as my own thing. I think instant identity is an important thing, like with new music to like be like, oh, that's definitely Derrick from Minute After Midnight, or that's Kellen from Sleeping with Sirens or something like that. So I think there's a lot of influences. I mean, then even in the pop realm, because like I think my first concert was like NSYNC, it wasn't something cool like Guns N' Roses. So just incorporating that, and then yeah, just I got to brag on Matt Good because I brought him the demo. I had these scars all over my skin remind me I'm a masochist, and then yeah, me and him channeled the beam, and it just became something so beautiful and, poetic at the same time. So it's it's quite the process, man.
It really did become something beautiful because when I was listening through it, there were two artists that I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard bits and pieces of this in their music, and now it's coming together in a much different way that is just hooking me in and not letting me go. And I think that I'm not sure if they're artists you've ever even heard or not, but it's just something that connects with me and also podcasts, prior episodes. When it comes to more like that modern emo take, there's a band called First and Forever that I listened to their stuff back in like 2021. I'm like, I can see where some of the emo flow and the modern emo flow is coming in. But then when the chorus hit, specifically, I'm going all the way to Russia for this band called Wild Ways. They had a song called Event Horizon that came back out in like 2020. And I'm like, I listened to the chorus. I'm like, I have not heard a chorus like this since that song. And this was 5 years ago. And that was on a metalcore style record. This was something completely different, but the overall way that the tones worked, the guitar tone that opens up the song, the way you flow from verse to pre-chorus to chorus, it has that emotional hit that you just absolutely need to really not only feel that depth of the style of song that you're going with the overall emotion you're trying to portray, but also still having that positive undertone of taking something negative and turning it into a positive for yourself. The tone worked so well, and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm hearing this for the first time in 4 or 5 years from an artist that I, hear the song for the first time. That's the first thing I think of. I'm like, oh, it's back and it's beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really feel like all of the songs really have a nostalgic feel to them, and I'm familiar with both Wild Ways and First and Forever. I think I kind of saw First and Forever come up on I want to say TikTok, and then Wild Ways. I think one of my buddies, Cameron Mizell, had worked with them in the past. I think we had done some stuff in the past, and he was like recording them next. So familiar with both bands. For some reason, like got a Bill Murray vibe from the guitar riff, like the
Yeah.
that was what me and Matt talked about. I was like, oh, it's got this Bill Murray feel, but it's still Minute After Midnight and culmination of a million different artists. So.
But that's just who you are. It's a culmination of so many different ideas. And like you said, channeling the beam, you're letting so many different ideas come your way. And this is what comes out. It's not about creating this specific sound to like fit this specific idea that you had. It's letting everything flow together so that it naturally comes together in a more unique way. And the end, now you're going to have something that's still unique, that's still going to have this great sound to it. But when you're trying to follow along, especially as a listener from that emotional storytelling that you're doing, everything is making so much sense because it came so naturally to you. You were openly allowing that to happen. And that's when you listen to Masochist. That's what happens. That's what comes through.
That's incredible. And I'm so stoked to hear that, bro. 'Cause that's what I was trying to do.
Dude, and you still absolutely hit it. I was damn impressed because not only does it still have that, it has that absolute modern, fresh flair of anything from like the pop punk realm to the emo realm. But then you listen to this because it's like you could feel like, this could have come out back in like 2006 and it still would have hit back in the height of the emo days back, mid 2000s. But it still has such a completely fresh sound that it sounds reinvented for this era. Not necessarily reinvented like you took an emo sound from 2006 and refreshed it. You took something completely new, just created out of nowhere, and it just happened to have all those factors put together for it. That's why it hits.
Very much so, bro. Very much so.
And it's no wonder why Fearless Records picked up Minute After Midnight like, hey, we got to get these guys on board.
Yeah, man. It was quite interesting, because I talked with a few different labels, and when I met with the president, Andy, obviously Fearless was like, the icon label, in 2006 to 2008. But one of the big decisions that like led me to that, aside from them just being incredible people, was, I looked up in my closet at my grandmother's house, and there's an old Bless the Fall CD, like the front cover was out because, I had that posted all over my walls and stuff. But I flipped it over and it was just like Fearless Records. And then I was like, I knew that that's who I needed to go with. And I was really stoked about that.
So again, it's like, your younger self ended up kind of guiding you in that way anyway, in the weirdest little way possible.
I just wish I could have like hugged him and shook him and be like, dude, you're going to make it, bro. You're going to do it. Just keep going. Cause bro, like, especially like the last like 2 to 3 years, dude, it was like, cause Ghost was out, we were starting to catch some traction, but dude, I was just like is this ever going to happen? Like, is this for me? Is this in the cards? And then like, there's a point, where I began to like not love music. Like I don't know. It was a really like love-hate relationship, but it was like the moment that I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to give up no matter what. Even if I'm singing cover songs in a bar, I will never stop writing and making music. And I think at that moment, the beam was like, all right, let's give it to him.
The beam literally put you through all the trials and tribulations, even with ghosts popping off and you then going off and wondering if music was even for you. Continuing to fight for what you wanted, continue to fight for that dream. It absolutely hits. I cannot remember what movie it was from, but it was like George Clooney, J.K. Simmons. It was some movie. And he's like, how much did they pay you to give up on your dreams? And he was like, $27,000 salary a year. Now, of course, you're talking, guy that's been in his career for so many years where that was a lot of money at one point in time. But it's kind of the same thing where we take a look at how many people in life had these dreams, had these goals, had these aspirations when they were kids. Grand aspirations, great aspirations. But they gave them up so quickly because of, again, I'm not going to say that money is always an issue. Money is usually an issue for it, and there's always other circumstances. But there are so many times where there's so many talented people that gave it up too early because some other corporation was offering them a job and offered them money, and they just said, you know what, I'll put it off. And then it never came into fruition. You're not going to end up going through life with regret, Derrick. I can tell you that right now.
Thank you so much, bro. And yeah, it's just the validation, like you got to keep going when nobody's clapping for you. And then, I want to say that if it's really like on your heart and you feel called for it, like just keep moving forward or failing forward, as I, call it. So.
Well, yeah, because when something doesn't, like, look at Ghost. Ghost popped off, and all of a sudden it was, okay, what came of it? I mean, you ended up, like you said, you were questioning music was even still in the cards for you, and then you failed in that way because it didn't pop off in the way that it probably could have. But now you failed forward. Now you're signed to Fearless Records. Masochist
now
is
we're
out.
Here.
There's gonna be so much more still to come. You've got more. You've got more support behind the band than you ever have before. Absolutely. Yeah. You may have stumbled, but you stumbled forward. And that wouldn't say failed forward for you. It'd be more stumbled forward.
Yes, let's call it stumbling forward. Yeah, because we got to make sure we're using good word choices,
But a little more accurate word choices.
Yeah, because stumble forward and like, yeah, man, golly. And yeah, I lost relationships, so many people like until, my parents understood what monthly listeners were. They're like, when are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, never, ever, not that I didn't, I served tables. I had a little DJ gig where I did weddings and stuff like that. I mean, I was able to financially support myself, but not in the way that like Ghost started to, like, especially like within the last couple years. I mean, even in the beginning, like Ghost had a solid algorithmic push that was more than like any of my other songs. But bro, it still wasn't until like 6 months later that like I had my first like semi-viral moment on TikTok, and it was just like after that, that's when the snowball effect kind of happened. So it was interesting to have had Ghost out and still been sad as shit, wondering if anything was going to happen. But little did I know that was going to be the song that set it off for us. So,
well, not only that, but I'm thinking about other artists too, and I'll use Bad Omens as the example from their first two albums. Think about the second album when Dethrone came out. It's like, okay, here's a boost, here's something that's going for them. But then this was literally pandemic hits, shutdown starts happening. It was my first canceled show, and they were supposed to headline in a room of 250 people. Now, this is March of 2020. And the next time I saw them play in Milwaukee 2.5 years later, they were playing in a venue that held maybe 1,250. And the only reason they didn't get upgraded to the venue above that holds 4,000 people was because that venue was already booked. Wow. And so it's kind of like, again, you're seeing those moments where it's like, yeah, something can hit, but, even if it doesn't, go as far as you expected, stumbling forward. Stumbling forward. It's just going to keep growing and growing the more you keep trying and the more you keep putting it out there and the more you let that, beam just influence you.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Interestingly enough, there's an iconic venue in Nashville called The End. And there's like a little break that I took, I think between 2017 and 2021 from MAM. I actually was just like, maybe this isn't the wave. So I did some solo stuff, but Bad Omens was playing the next week, or I guess they were the next artist on the bill. And bro, it's like, basically it's called The End, and it's like the smallest venue in Nashville, 200 cap max. So just to like have seen that in person, and then see where they are now, it's just pretty like, it's crazy, where music can take you.
It really is. I know we're kind of running low on time here, but I got two quick questions before I wrap this up. The first is, we're going into 2026. Minute After Midnight's got to have something big coming up. So what you got coming up in the next year? Whatever you can share, at least.
Well, I don't know all that I can share too much. There's definitely new music coming. I will say that. We got Ghost Reimagined dropping on December 5th. So that will finish us out for the rest of the year. And then I would just say expect another single around the first of the year, and some even bigger news, coming in the spring. So
that's what I was hoping to hear. I know you probably weren't going to be able to say that much, but I always got to ask for the teasers. Just a little bit.
Man. I got you, bro.
All right. So last question I got to ask before I wrap this up is, I've been asking this question for over 2 years to close out these episodes. It's one of my favorite things to do, to not only get into more new music, but to get to know more of the new music that you love. I'm going to limit it to 3 because otherwise we'll be here all day. But yeah. Derrick, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love, that you would love to see more people get into right now?
Whew. God, bro, this is the hardest because I don't listen to as much music as I used to. It's always a hard question. I hope I say this right. I like Sachi 6. He's pretty talented, incredible artist. Oh, bro. It's a really hard question, man. Sleep Theory, obviously, is crushing the game. If you don't know who Sleep Theory is, you best be finding out. And yeah, I think the Pretty Wild is also a pretty incredible band as well. I think they're pretty unique, and I love the little call outs right before their breakdowns. And yeah, that's pretty much the 3 bands that I would be paying attention to.
Hey, you shot me 3 bands. That's still a good number, so don't get me wrong. You're doing just
Oh,
fine
you
there.
got 1, right?
No, I said 3. So
okay, cool. I was like, okay, yeah, bet.
You're doing just fine. I'm like, I had the number 3 up there, and then I just went to 1 like that to kind of point to you. But yeah, it was 3, so we're doing just fine.
Good deal, man.
Plus, even if you would have been like, I got 2 and that's it. This isn't network TV. This is a podcast. I make the rules, and, well, I let a lot of them slide.
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, Derrick, I want to thank you for taking the time being on the podcast today. I got to wrap this up with 3 things. First things first, when it comes to Minute After Midnight, yep, the brand new song Masochist is out now. He said Ghost Reimagined is going to be coming out around December 5th. New single possibly to start the year off, and more exciting news coming in the spring as well. So do not miss out on it. Go to script for the podcast below where it says find Minute After Midnight online. Links, labels for everything to find on social media where you can listen to music, stream music, find them, play live, and of course get some merch, support them as well. I'm doing all the research. I'm getting everything down there for you. So go and support Minute After Midnight. Don't make me mad. Don't make Derrick sad. Stumble forward and follow along with Minute After Midnight. Now it's time for number 2. Whenever guests on the podcast or on the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future, and this is how we do it. It's not an if, because that implies it might not happen, but when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I will come and find you. I'll come and say hello to you, but the actual promise is that first round's on me.
I'm here for it, my man.
Hell yeah, let's do it. So hopefully in the spring, that might be happening. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. But now it's time for number 3. As we bring this episode to a conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. It is way too final. Derrick, I know we only had a half hour a day. Hopefully the next time we can bring you back on the podcast again, maybe get an hour, go deeper into some of this stuff and just see where the conversation takes us. Plus more new music and possibly some live shows. Who knows? But I'll see you again. So this can't be goodbye. This is. I'll see you later. Woo! Well, folks, my interview with Derrick from Minute After Midnight, and now it is time for Kevin's final thought. You know what? I wasn't expecting that full of an answer when I asked, like, what would your 15-year-old self say about what you're doing right now? I mean, he stumbled forward for sure on all of these things with music. Yeah, you have a moment like you did with Ghost, but then when he said, 2024 comes around, he's wondering if this is something that he's actually meant to be able to do or supposed to be doing in life. Just didn't necessarily work. And then all of a sudden, boom, decides to do it, channels the beam, and now signs with Fearless Records, and now is creating just ungodly good music. It's incredible to listen to, not going to lie. Just thinking about where he's been through, what he's been through, where he's been. Yeah, think about going back to your 15-year-old self. Let me ask you that question. Go back to yourself at 15 years old. Think about it. And if you told your 15-year-old self what you're doing right now with life, what you're doing in life, the things you like, how life is going, would they be proud of you? Now, I mean, that's not necessarily a basis to live life off of, but it kind of gives you a look and just see, if you had dreams, goals, and aspirations, did you achieve them? If you didn't achieve them, are you doing something different that you wanted to do? Because perceptions change when you're 15 and when you're now. I mean, 15, I would have loved to have been a professional athlete, but that's not happening. So, I still have a full-time job. I've been podcasting for 7 years. I do a lot of crazy stuff with music. I go to so many concerts. And now, instead of playing soccer, I'm doing some MMA fighting too. I think even for me, 15-year-old me would look at me and be like, maybe didn't end up the way I thought it was going to, but in the end, damn, that's still pretty cool. Not going to lie. Would you say the same thing? I know Derrick's 15-year-old self would probably absolutely crap his pants in overall excitement, but would you say the same thing? Think about it. I want to thank Derrick for coming on the podcast today. When it comes to Minute After Midnight, follow along with them on all places, social media, stream their music, follow along with them so you know when concerts are happening so you can go see them play live, and of course get some merch. Go script for the podcast down below. Everything is there. Please be sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast here on YouTube. The subscribe button is right down here. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so subscribe or follow there. Hit the like button on these episodes to help push in the algorithm. Our social media links for Facebook, Twitter, I still say Twitter, and Instagram are in the description of the podcast below, so go and follow along with us there because we post a lot of fun stuff there, so don't miss out. Thank you, Derrick. This is a fun one. Next time, let's go for a full hour. On that note, that's your brief. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. I'm Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these videos. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.